Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Vicky. It is such an honor today to have the opportunities to share about my sustainable fashion journey. Actually, today I will going to just share about my journey and what I did on last 4 years because my company is just established at 2019. And meanwhile, I just wanted to share what we did and to see whether you can get some insight there. And yeah, in my perspective, actually, sustainable fashion actually is really the future trend. So therefore, whatsoever that we did, and we still think of that, actually, we still need to exploring this and also to trying to learning this. So then, before I start to share my journey, then I introduce about myself. Actually, I worked for the industry about 20 years. That work for different international brand and also the international company, and also the factory that they serve the international brand, and also the turning point for myself that is at 2017 that there is a fashion show at Copenhagen Fashion Week, and which I demonstrate my collection. So meanwhile, I found that quite a lot of designers that already working on this and doing the balance between not just only on aesthetics but also in the sustainable materials and also into their collection. So therefore, I'm thinking of that. It seemed a bit difficult for those big companies to working on this on that moment at 2017. So therefore, I'm trying to start my business then and see how to through my way, and also see is better to have the possibility to demonstrate my concept and also the idea. So you may think of that I'm not just a designer, but also like entrepreneurs and like a curator to invite different stakeholders is trying to collaborate with the industry people that thinking of how to demonstrate the whole concept, not just only on design, but also from materials, from manufacturer, but also from the craftsmanship, and also finally to become the fashion. So then you may see that actually my company have just only a small company, but we have 4 divisions. Actually, it's like Revisionary is our design studio. We give design and delivery our design service to the corporate. And normally we did the corporate uniform to them, and like from the branding design, but also thinking of that to introduce the new materials to them to see how to change the textile whatsoever the materials that from the normal one and to become the sustainable one. And meanwhile, we also thinking of that the craftsmanship is so important for us. So therefore, you may see that we developed a few years that finally we have few different projects. 2019 that we have our design studio, and the same years that we have our sustainable fashion brand that to demonstrate our collection that and the concept that see what the people respond. Actually, it's quite successful, and we will tell later. But meanwhile, we also have 2020 that we have our own project about the community engagement project, and I will tell more later. And also we have the Love Love Palette. Actually, it's an educational program at 2021. So then maybe let's go first at design studio, our Revisionary design studio. Actually, as what I mentioned, that right now we do quite a lot of project, and also the key business for us to help the corporates to transform their materials and also their textile garments and to become more sustainable way. So I think B2B actually is a quite reliable partner than to do this rather than just B2C. But meanwhile, we still treasure on B2C, so therefore we have our fashion brand. And at first, we have our products. Actually, it's just like in a very primitive way that we collect those very luxury fashion fabrics, supplied fabrics like the SpongeBob or the fabric swatch, then we make it to become the garments. Because as what the previous speaker mentioned, I guess craftsmanship is important, and also the material itself is expensive enough to see whether it is worth to remake it. Otherwise, and it's really meaningless for those involved workers to do so. So therefore, this is one of the concepts that we did. And meanwhile, we also collaborate with the factory that using the disposed garments or the stock garments, then we make it like this style actually is a really shirt with the light gowns that trying to remake it and to inspire the people that they can get their wardrobe, the old props, and to see whether can we make it. And then on the other hand, that we also have an idea that always think of the white shirt that always easy to get dirt, and we think of that collaborate with the technologies like this is the one-on-one design. So you can imagine that actually it's just like your home printer, but actually this is a garment printer that it can print it one-on-one. So therefore it can prevent the stock inventory issue. And meanwhile, we also think of that not just only second-hand crop that we should consider to help the partners, but think of that if people still want to have new crops, then this is one of the ideas that we think of. We should collaborate with the printing companies that doing digital print with the sustainable aim. So we still have the new crops, but we also have the new crops with the nice design. So and also right now, all of the products in our collection actually also have the international certificate to prove that actually it's upcycled cotton whatsoever, polyester or like regenerative fibers. So this is about my brand. And meanwhile, at 2020, that we think of that sustainable fashion is not just only materials, but also thinking of that is about the community. Because when you're doing that's the high craftsmanship work, then you understand that you need to involve quite a lot of high craft skilled workers. So therefore, we think of the community programs is think of that we can do it in the local, and so prevent the carbon footprints, and also thinking of that we can engage the women and empower them, and also like a circularity is that we engage fresh graduates, and then also engage retired profession, and also engage the NGO that invite those local women to teach them to help us to like mass production line finally. So then this is the like a circular economies concept that like in a win-win approach, like co-create, collaborative, and finally like a train-the-trainer concept and to make the production line. And so therefore at the first project that we did and quite successful, that we engage more than 60 local women. We give the free of charge workshop to them. Of course, we got the support from SIE Fund, so therefore we have the budget to deliver the workshop. And meanwhile, then we engage quite a lot of the retired pattern maker to help. And we find that it's a very interesting program that it is excited findings that quite a lot of local women join the program. And meanwhile, you will see that finally we put the garments into the catwalk show, because we, from those 60 women, we select about 6 to 10 that who still want to take the challenge and to make the like a professional approach and to make the collection. So therefore, we just really like a co-create and share the price and to make it in like in the real collection and even in the collection like in the catwalk show. So apart from that, we're thinking of that just into the garment is quite difficult to inspire the consumer, because you know that always have a size issue. So therefore, we have another concept that have the support by K11, the World Development Group, and they support us to have this is the crossbody bag. We're using also the upcycled materials, and meanwhile you may see that the strap actually is also handmade. We engage the local women, even those we engage their staff together, co-create, and finally we make it in local in 300 pieces, and right now it's selling in K11 online store. So it's really see how it works in like finally to becomes a product, and even those go to the market. So this is the project that I call Local Do Good. And apart from the Local Do Good project, then we also have a lot of pilots. It is just like a coincidence that we, because want to get involved the local women and trying to teach them make a better craftsmanship. So therefore we introduce the craft work to them, and and also develop the workshop to them and see, you may see that, and train the color sense and also the pattern making sense. So finally then it's become a workshop then to teaching them to become a workshop, and even those become the products. So then it's just like a community finally also. So then I guess it's quite fitting to like the SDGs then, the community and also the production. And this concept is so lucky that finally we have the support by Swire Properties. They engage our concept and then invite the local women together and make this bed. And even those train the local women make this bed and also deliver the workshop into the publics at their shopping mall. So we launched the 7 days workshop at their shopping mall and by the local women to help the children when they engage the workshop and just teach them in 14 minutes then 15 minutes then to make the garment bed. So this is one of the concepts. So apart from that, it's also an coincident findings that when we're doing the workshop in sustainable materials and also in the workshop and also in the craftsmanship, and finally we find that the workshop, throughout the workshop, the women told us that they really feel have the happiness between, because when they are very involved into the workshop, they just like forget their family's issue, whatsoever the social issue. So I think it's just like a well-being workshop too. So I guess what we did that on last 4 years have been told, and you may see that sustainable fashion actually is like a long wall, but I'm going to show the last section that's about my latest collection. And maybe you may see that as all still like a very down-to-earth project, but actually we as designers, so we still treasure on doing design work. So actually every season we still have our fashion show. We also have our inspiration story to make our collection. So this is the latest collection we launched at the Conventional Center, and have the patchwork, engage the local women. We also have the prints with the digital print in sustainable ink. And also we have the difficult craft skills that we engaged so that we have the training to the guest women. And meanwhile, we also have a lot of the collaboration with different fabric supplier and also the manufacturer, sweater, knitter, then to make our garments with the certificate that using their materials and making of. And also have the second-hand cloth design, trying to show our creativities. So just like this is the Brooke Brothers second-hand jacket with the denim jacket, still wearable, but still have the mix and match with the K11 best, and finally have the mix and match with the total solution and the laws about sustainable fashion and the sustainability. And this is about the print. As mentioned, that we have our own prints design every season to demonstrate whatsoever the technologies that can make, and also the pattern that on the knitter as a sweater. So this is the collection. And quite lucky that apart from the exposure in the international, we have the fashion show, but we also got quite a lot of exposure on the design award, because we're thinking of that. It's not just like a concept, but it's really like a statement. So so lucky that maybe I try to get that. We already have the recognition by Red Dot Design Award, like at 2020, that we have the best of the best award, and 2020, and also at 2020 that we have the International Design Award from USA that have the Fashion of the Years. So I guess this is a very encouraging support by the international also, not just in local, that to demonstrate our concept, not just only on design, on products, but also on craftsmanship, local women's co-create collaborative concept, and to doing in like even those like in SDGs approach. So that's it for my presentation, and see if you have any question that, yeah, and feel free to ask.